I'm Johnny Grohl. I'm the Vice President of Operations here at Lime's home office. So we're a home services company that covers 40 different types of coatings and surface restoration for
Yeah.
a very specific niche demographic in the market. But yes.
Yeah. So Johnny, not James Franco. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Johnny, not James Franco. Letters are close, but no.
Yeah, that was funny. What was recruiting and building your sales team like before working with SRU?
It was a very long process. It was very singular since we're a franchise organization. Each owner is independently responsible for their own location. So we, as a home office, offer a lot of services for support. So my job was essentially to help set them up with the standard operating procedure for hiring and answering all those and helping them do first interviews, but then I would jump in for either group interviews or secondary individual interviews. So it was actually a pretty long, drawn out process. Once we started with SRU, it utilized more efficiently some of the processes we already had in place. So it
Yeah.
helped us organize those. But ultimately, it just created a very streamlined process for how we wanted to do these things. So instead of 3 weeks, it's 3 days, right? So
Yeah.
make it a lot easier to both hire and get rid of the wrong people. So right people, right seat.
Yeah. Yeah. What's been kind of the difference that you've seen? Is there a difference in, time savings or, quality of candidate or volume? Like what are the differences? Because you guys were already kind of heavily recruiting before, I think, right?
Yeah, no, we were heavily recruiting before. Volume changed in the sense of the quality of candidates we were onboarding in a certain amount of time. So, inevitably, outside sales position, people can come from different backgrounds and be successful if the process is right and they're just adhering to it and learning from it. So,
Yeah.
realistically, was just getting people to understand who we were, what the process was, and what the duties and responsibilities were required for the role. Prior to them meeting for us was the second interview is meeting for the
Yeah.
owners one-on-one, and then basically it was just us teeing it up and the owners just knocking it out of the park. If
Yeah.
it was a good fit, it was a very, very fast system. And so right now the retention is great.
Yeah. Instead of doing a million phone interviews and a million one-on-one long interviews with no shows and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. Essentially, it goes from a sense of where you can control a singular interview with a group of people coming to you and
Yeah.
not having to schedule massive amounts of interview one-on-ones with, 60 to 70% of people not showing up.
Yeah, that's a nightmare. That's a nightmare. What have results been like? It's been, I think, what, 2 to 3 months or something like that?
It's been 2 to 3 months from the beta process, but the actual time frame of us seeing candidates and forms and really the process molding into position has only been about 30 days.
Yeah.
Uh, but it has been, what was the question exactly?
Yeah. So what have results been like?
Okay, yeah. So the results, I've seen a massive increase in hires as the owners have become more comfortable with that one-on-one process. So the more that they've been comfortable, the more that they've been able to work that muscle as much as I have with the group process, the better their kind of turnover rate as far as like where they've been able to bring in candidates, decide if they're the right fit, it works for both sides and onboard them right away.
Very.
That's the biggest difference is understanding where they're comfortable bringing in candidates and just making decisions right away rather than being like, hey, I got this guy, I'm going to let him think on it and see if it's a good fit. It's more like,
Yeah.
either you're a good fit or you're not, and if you're a good
Yeah.
fit, do you want to do this or not?
Yeah.
It just makes it a very hire fast, fire fast type of situation because you're understanding what the requirements are from start to finish.
For sure. So
Yeah.
what I'm hearing is there's been an increase the amount of recruits, increase of quality recruits, a lot of time savings by switching to the group interview model and kind of saving a lot of upfront time there. And then also value in teaching the local franchise owners that are involved in the recruiting process how to do final interviews and systematizing that. And now because of that, they're closing candidates in a better way. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah, I think that's a good recap on the whole thing. The biggest catalyst of that is just because we're basically having two separate parts to it rather than an organization
Yep.
just doing initial interview and then one-on-ones and then hiring.
Yep.
Understanding that is a tiny bit more methodical going from the home office standpoint to the franchise owner. But once that system was really flowing with purpose, it made a huge difference.
Very cool. Has there been anything that's exceeded your expectations or maybe like unexpected benefits that you've seen working with SRU?
So I came in kind of blind as to what to expect, not in the sense of like I wasn't informed of what SRU could do, but I was doing so much recruiting on my own time
Yeah,
in my role that I was already like, okay, I already have 20 to 30 hours a week allotted to recruiting.
yeah,
How is this going to change once coming onto this? So that's where I was like wanting to gain more clarity. What I can say is, yes, it's drastically decreased the amount of time that I had dedicated positively or negatively to recruiting.
yeah,
It made it a much more efficient process. So I think that's the most important thing for me. And if there was something that I would advise for other owners that are in a franchise model like myself. I mean, I
yeah.
know it's advantageous in a singular corporate model, but from my experience in the franchise, if it's someone coming on board, the biggest thing that I can say is just the time utilization or being able to just dedicate your time and labor elsewhere where you were spending twice as much time before doing recruiting. That's the one thing that I can say without a doubt has improved. It's just
Yeah.
time.
So, yeah, you're saying to people, business owners watching it, like, hey, the time savings in delegating that, aligning with the more efficient recruiting process with group interviews allows you to free up time and invest that into other areas of your business. Is that what you're saying?
That's absolutely what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, our time is our money. And if you're able to
Yeah.
dedicate more time to a different portion of your business, because so much of this, and specifically this recruiting process we're talking about, is streamlined and it's
Yeah.
built to be very quick paced. Obviously, what can you do with that time? How much money could you earn on those other hours that you're bringing back to your life?
Love it. Love it. What would you say to somebody considering to work with SRU?
I mean, I would say so. I don't have experience in the done for you. I think it's the done with you program that we're in.
Yeah.
What I would say is, if you are in the position where you are wanting to hire, ours is outside sales specifically, but you're wanting to hire salespeople quickly and be able to build the company from a sales foundation, right? Most sales organizations are going to be catalyst on those
Yeah.
sales. And then if you're in a position where you're like, we need to grow our team 100%, this is one of the most beneficial things that I think we've added to our company.
Love it. Thank you, Johnny. That's about it, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Absolutely, Ryan.